Hello.
Hello.
Hello, we're back. Episode 2, here we go.
It's that difficult second podcast.
It is that difficult second podcast. We're very happy to have received the funding for the from the Kickstarter project from all the lovely people for episode 2.
Yeah, keep donating.
Yeah, keep donating.
Is that just resting in your account, is it?
It is, yeah. So we're back, having learnt some things about ourselves and each other and podcasts since episode 1 and the feedback that we got. So what's your, first of all, hello.
Hello, Alex. Yeah.
You well?
I'm not so well. So I'm on a cocktail of Lemsip.
You're holding Lemsip as we speak.
Coffee and lockets and polos. And yeah, a good mix.
A good mix, yeah.
Could throw up at any second, but...
let's not do that.
No, but talking of like lessons learned, I thought you had just a really nice, colourful, radio-friendly voice.
Well, hello, and welcome to Addictive Tendencies. I didn't hate the sound of it. The thing is that singing in a band and listening to a lot of recordings, you kind of get used to it. But it was all right. It was all right. I kind of enjoyed it. I like listening back to it and thinking, oh, that was funny. That was rubbish. Oh, God. And the feedback that we've had from people has been interesting.
Yeah, some good, and some, maybe you can stop pausing and get a bit quicker and...
You wanted us to speed up.
A bit slow.
So
we'll bear that in mind.
One thing I noticed that I did and that I do in life is that I say a lot.
Yeah, but whereas you've got a really nice voice, maybe your singing practice and your you've just got a very interesting tone to your voice.
Okay.
My voice, on the other hand.
Nobody likes their own voice, though, do they?
Yeah, that's true. I've got a very monotonous voice from Essex. There's not a lot of tonal range. There's not a lot of emotion, excitement.
Tonal range.
This is me excited.
Right. So it's all kind of one level.
This is me angry.
Right.
This is me really annoyed.
Okay.
So
you're consistent.
I'm if anything, I'm consistent.
You're consistent.
But it doesn't necessarily make for, maybe use this podcast as a sort of sleeping aid.
Yeah.
I suffer from some insomnia, and I stick these podcasts on late at night, and it helps me catch a few extra winks. So if that works for you, then I'll just carry it on. But I just can't promise any. I've just not got one of those theatrical voices. So.
Maybe that will change in time. Maybe this podcast, you will find your range, and suddenly you will become an audiobook king. The requests flooding in. You never know.
I'm working on it.
So last podcast, was there anything that you noticed about yourself that kind of grated on you, other than the tone of your voice? Yeah,
there was a certain go-to phrases, or I suppose there's an awareness that there's some stuff we can't say, as this is going on the internet. It's going to be there forever,
unless we take it down.
Well, is that possible? If it's already out there,
I suppose. So anything that we put out there could technically be downloaded and kept forever.
Yeah, exactly. I got a feeling if you put it out there, the moment it's out there, you can't take it down. It's there.
You can't take it back.
You can't. Yeah, like those things you wish you hadn't said. It's out there. So
what was your go-to phrase?
Well, I've never realised how much I say this, and I think it was because of that being live on air, as it were. I was aware that all the stuff that I couldn't say, and where I wanted to draw the line and where I was crossing the line. So I kept saying, I don't want to go there, man.
Okay. What in that kind of tone?
Well, it felt like
American.
It felt a bit. It reminded me of like those Ricky Lake sort of. Don't go there, girlfriend.
He's waving his arm in the air, and wow.
Yeah, I went there.
I'm with you. I didn't really notice it at the time, but...
Yeah, it was Ricky Lake was around like 25 years ago.
90s?
Yeah, late 90s.
Late 90s.
And everyone who had something to say just did it in that, head nodding sort of,
Is that where you got it from?
I don't know, subconsciously, but it just slightly camp, sort of, don't go there.
Nothing wrong with camp.
Nothing wrong.
What I would say is that what I noticed about you last time that we did this, was that you were very worried about kind of offending people. And listening back to the podcast, as I did several hundred times, I was worried that I would offend somebody. I don't mind coming across as a bit of a dick, because I can be a bit of a dick, but I didn't really want to really upset people. And I don't think we did that. We've got the Addictive Tendencies bell here.
Yeah.
So if I hear you say I don't want to go there, maybe I'll press it.
If I go there,
if you do go there, I'll say that. I'll challenge you, and we can maybe look at why you don't want to go there.
Just
because we can edit all this out.
Yeah.
You could say anything.
Yeah, we have got an edit button, which we're getting used to. We couldn't really do it last time, technically.
No, we're learning.
So forgive us.
So thanks to all the people that have fed back to us their thoughts and their feelings about the podcast. Just to let you know that you can catch us on Twitter. We're at Addictive Tendencies. That's addictive without an E. And you can check us out on Facebook and YouTube and SoundCloud. I can't always get my words out.
No.
Which isn't great for podcasts.
And is it Addictive Podcast?
It is. I've done it again.
Twitter.
I've done it again.
It is Addictive Tendencies on the other.
It's Addictive Tendencies on everything apart from it's Addictive Podcast without an E.
It's so easy
Twitter.
to mix up.
I'm so excited, Phil.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this podcast.
But I'm sure those 5 people who are listening,
6,
can work it out, and they generally know us. And tell your friends, share it, like it, subscribe. Would be nice, just so
we can handle it.
Increase the conversation.
I think one of the main things that came out for me is people fed back that they really liked the fact that we were doing a podcast, and they thought it was really cool.
Okay.
They think that it's you get a lot of people that talk about doing things, but when you came to me, it was like you actually wanted to put it into action. And I think that even if it's a crap podcast, which we don't want it to be, the fact that we're giving it a go is a good thing.
Yeah, keep telling.
I keep telling myself that before I go to bed.
Yeah, I don't know about cool. Where the podcasting cool. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense that I always like people for having a go.
Yeah.
And we are having a go, and it's a bit rough around the edges. But
it's all right. It's real.
Yeah,
it's real.
It's conversational, and that's what we aim to do. We should probably, for any new listeners, or just for anyone generally, just to explain what this is. So, Addictive Tendencies came out of the idea that we all have addictive tendencies, and so this should be a podcast for anyone really, and just to sort of talk over those things in life that can lead to addiction, and also just talk about the light and shade of addiction. We both work in the field of addiction, so we both have a lot of first-hand knowledge of people who are addicted. It's sort of our bread and butter. It's what we do for a living. So I've worked in the field for about 10 years now. Really enjoying it. Really liking the fact that I went this way in my career from mental health. So I started working in a psychiatric hospital, and then I moved to London, and I started working within a harm reduction centre, doing needle exchange and street outreach, and in the really most depraved, oh God.
The depravity of.
I always get those mixed up. I mean deprived, so quite poor and quite, not the best area of London, and I've seen some things, but I've got a lot of experience from that. I've got a lot of experience, so it feels like I'm slapping myself on the back, but I guess those 10 years have gone by, and I don't know how that's happened. And also, about a year ago, I completed my Masters. I went back to study part-time to do a Masters at London South Bank University for addiction, psychology and counselling. So I did that for 3 years, and I feel like I got a lot of more understanding from that, so that's where I'm coming from. So if you're wondering where is he?
What's he know?
Yeah, what's this bloke know? Where does he think he's coming up with all this? That's where.
So you worked as a drug and alcohol worker at the organisation where we met, and I was a volunteer. So you've got some really good qualification experience, whereas my addiction experience is pretty much based around being an alcoholic. So I worked with the homeless for 8 years, and at the same time while I was doing that, I was drinking more and more and more. And the long and the short of it is that I lost my job and my home, and ended up in various treatment centres, including the one that I'm in now, where I've been for 3 years, and kind of now work in addiction. So yeah, alcoholic in recovery. So I kind of, it's interesting, I worked with the homeless for 8 years, but then got my experience of homelessness and addiction when I left. I kind of got the experience afterwards, and needed a couple of years to kind of put myself back together again with the help and support of others. And now I work with those who are homeless and in addiction. So I've kind of done it the other way around. So I hope that I kind of got something to kind of bring to the table.
I've always worked with people who've had experience of addiction as well, and then make some of the best workers. Not all of them, I will add, but you certainly show the qualities of one of those better workers.
It's very kind of you to say so.
Some people think it's a natural qualification to have been there and done that, and yes, to some extent, but you also need the people skills, which you have. And I've worked with loads of good workers who've had addiction and are in recovery and have learnt lessons, but also have those interpersonal skills that you need, being able to listen, and having some self-awareness and awareness of your own journey, and not imposing that on other people.
Yeah.
Some people make the mistake, I think, of thinking, oh, I've been there and done it, and therefore I know. And that can lead to people tripping up. I've seen some quite bad workers thinking, well, this is, well, you've got to do it this way, and so I did that voice. They don't all spin like that. But it
says the man who's only got one tone. It's all these different voices that you bring to the table.
That was my sort of one-dimensional, quite being a bit thick voice, and you get those people in all aspects of life.
We do. I'm sure I've been that guy at some point. Something interesting. I was on training this week, and it was a trauma-informed care.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
And it was an interesting training for many reasons, some of which I won't go into. But it talked about, is it vicarious trauma?
Yeah.
That talked about the kind of transference of working with people who are suffering from traumatic experiences, and how that affects the people. You're right down there?
Yeah, sorry, I was just
like taking your shoes off.
Taking my shoes off.
I wonder what you were doing.
My feet were getting really cramped as you were speaking. I don't know what.
People's feet often get cramped as I speak.
You need to breathe.
So the idea that when you work with people who are experiencing trauma, just how much of an effect that can have on you, excuse me, and how that got me thinking about when I worked with the homeless in North London back in 2002 to 2008, and in the last 3-4 years of that was when my drinking really, really increased. And so now I'm sober, going back and working with the homeless and those in addiction, I'm doing it with caution, because part of me thinks that was that my way of coping with the kind of the transference of other people's trauma.
Yeah. What was it that triggered the?
There didn't seem to be any significant trigger. It's just that the alcohol. One of the things about alcohol and addiction in general is that it will increase left untreated most of the time. So by nature, the nature of alcohol is that the more you drink, the more you'll end up drinking. So it was kind of building all the time. There wasn't anything significant other than the fact that I was progressing really well through the organisation. Okay. So 2006 I got promoted within the organisation, then 2007 and then 2009. So I did 4 different jobs, in that organisation. So whether the stress of having more responsibility and the link between that and drinking more, or whether it was just no matter what I was doing within that organisation, I would have ended up drinking more, or whatever I was doing in life, I would have just ended up drinking more. It's difficult to say. So I'm very cautious about the way forward in terms of what I do, and whether working with the client group that I do, just how much effect it has on me. And now that I don't use alcohol to kind of unwind, what else am I doing?
Sure.
So that's where my head's at the moment.
It's an interesting one, that exposure to it, that people going into the field of addiction when they're going to be exposed to other people's addiction every day. Or likewise, if you work in a bar or you put yourself in a position where people are using and stuff.
But it is a good reminder some of the people that I work with to see how entrenched they are in addiction. That if I, as far as I'm concerned, if I start drinking again, that I'll end up back where I was, kind of homeless, you know, it's a short time in jail, and you know, just a mess. And so it can be quite a helpful reminder. You're reaching for the horn. You're reaching for the horn.
Oh.
So last week, why do I keep saying last week? Last podcast, you introduced the bell, which we still have.
Well, this was in the room.
It was
the
in
elephant in the room last time.
It seems like a
Never got
natural
used.
progression to go from how, you know, me being in jail for a short period of time to, which I'm not proud of, just to say, to an air horn.
Yeah.
It's a natural progression,
Well, maybe
Phil.
rather than like,
You want to press it,
I'm
don't
not
you?
going there.
You're going to press it, aren't you? You just said it.
It's considerably louder than the bell, and I don't know why I bought this.
I think you do.
But I feel like it's got a place somewhere, and it's just incredibly loud. I was worried about your neighbours. That was one reason.
Okay. Let's move on from the horn.
So if you've got any ideas at home what this could be used for, in some practical,
we're going to get some really filthy emails and stuff.
Yeah.
So what's new? We went out on Monday, didn't we? We met. I've seen quite a lot of you recently.
Yeah.
With cinema trips.
It's multiplied, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great actually. Cinema trips and now the podcast. So we went to see Trainspotting.
Yeah. So later we will review that.
We will.
Probably for 15 minutes solid.
I was going to go for an hour.
Yeah. If last week's anything to go by, we will a long rambling review.
Maybe we could do a separate podcast where we just talk about that film for maybe 3 hours.
If you're still awake at the end of it, hats off to you, because you're in for the long haul this week. So today also we'll talk about maybe a bit about that man Trump, which we didn't get around to last time. And also we'll try and introduce a few regular features and which we want, you know, people who are listening to contribute to. So we can, if you've got any suggestions or any ideas, likewise people with addiction, if anyone's got something they want to say or even come in and meet us, I thought
we're definitely going to have a few guest spots.
Come in and talk about it. We'd be more than happy to hear that. So get in touch with us at addictivetendencies@protonmail.com. If you want to get in touch, that's absolutely cool, and maybe we can arrange something. But also on the sort of lighter side of addiction, we're going to talk a bit about being in London and the sort of little things that are annoying us.
We're going to give 30 seconds to each topic, and then I'm going to. Is that what we're going to do? We're going to give the people what they want. No,
wow.
No, we're not.
The people aren't always right, you know.
What I would say is that, like all great shows and radio shows and podcasts, this show is nothing without our listeners. So please, let us know your thoughts and feelings and ideas. But we'd love to hear from you guys.
I never know, you know, it's very dramatic calling it a show, isn't it?
Ta-da! I'm learning more about your musical side, but we'll come on to that in future podcasts.
And other things I wanted to talk about was like life rules. A lot winds me up, so yeah, we'll probably explore. But life rules, I thought, you know, same with living in London, I thought maybe we could come up with some. I think the end goal of this could be 4 years' time, Alex runs for London Mayor on the ticket of all of our suggestions here.
Are you a careers advisor?
Yeah, we both live in London, where there's a lot of stuff to affect you. It's just flying in your face. This city, sometimes I just find too much. It is, you know, just getting about there. There's so many people. In this segment, which I like to call Mayor for the Day.
Mayor for the Day?
If you were mayor for one day, if you could just, maybe it should be like on this alternative rotational system where everyone has a vote.
A
bit like the Purge.
The plinth. I was thinking like the plinth. You know the plinth that they had in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
They gave everybody an hour, and you'd sign up for it, and you could do whatever you wanted.
Excellent. That's democracy. I know you said the referendums.
But not everybody's going to get a chance.
Are they?
Hypothetically speaking, with mayor for you'd only get 365 mayors a year. But let's just say,
Yeah, well, an hour on the plinth maybe.
yeah.
Maybe your hour, the rules come in. What's your manifesto? And if we
Will I have an hour? Can I achieve a lot in an hour?
no, but well, let's make it a day then.
Let's mare for a day. What would you go with?
Well, I'm quite a highly strung person, so, and I've lived in London 10 years now, and I like London. To some extent, I can't imagine living anywhere else. I like people, and I like the buzz and the lights and the razzmatazz of London. But on the other hand, I've realised that I don't really like people, like how many of them there are.
I try to be quite respectful and give up my seat and let people on first and stuff. I love all that kind of stuff, and I think it's really important. But some days I just don't want to do it, Phil. I want to get on the bus first. I want to sit down, I'll close my eyes, put my iPod on my iPhone, and pretend I'm asleep.
So are you talking about queuing, not queuing to get on a bus, or are you talking about?
Because I'll end up standing, and people are bumping into me because I'm quite big.
Because no one else queues.
6'2".
Yeah.
And just some days I'm ranting now.
No, go for it.
I'm ranting.
Take the heat
and
off me.
We can edit this, but I was singing recently, and I got the bus home at 2 o'clock in the morning from Tottenham Court Road, that stops right outside my house, and it was packed when I got on it, and I just thought, you know, we have got such a good thing here with the transport system, but London is so overpopulated, and it is what it is. Right, and I love London so much, and I love its diversity. It's just the only time I don't like it is when I'm trying to get home. That's it, and I just think, can they not just put on an Alex replacement bus? You know, turn the light. I've always had this fantasy of just getting on a bus, turning the lights off, and just driving all the way to my stop. Thought I'd share that piece of gold with you all.
Yeah.
So I don't travel by tube because I suffer from panic attacks and I hate it. But I do get the overground. And yeah, it's like when I'm at Highbury and Islington, and you just see the amount of people that are getting off and getting on, and people's inability to just let the people off first. And I want to say to people, all right, mate, I know we're all trying to get on, but surely if we let it empty, then we can get on.
But yeah, sometimes I will walk with my elbows like fully sharpened.
Well, like doing an impression of a chicken.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Well, you know,
Doing your ABBA
people who
impression.
don't make space for you to get off the tube, what are they expecting you to do? Listen, mate, you're getting my elbow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another one that I do, a little secret trick. So what I would change, or what I think is not allowed. You know the pole in the middle of the tube?
Yeah.
Like it's in the middle where you can hang on. It's normally the spot that I end up fighting for because it's the only one letting you can't get a seat. But some people lean against that pole, rendering the pole useless.
Right. So if they're quite tall and you can't then put your arm on it.
So then I've got nowhere to hang on to.
Hang on to their arm. Like link arms. That's what I'd do.
Well,
I wouldn't, obviously, because I fear getting beaten up in most situations.
Yeah, so I've got a little trick if that happens. If somebody is doing the pole leaning thing.
The old well-known tube pole leaning situation.
Yeah. What I do is I get my hand and I will put it at the point of the pole.
Right.
Where their body is not touching.
So you start from the top and slide down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
I do know where you're going.
So I will stop, so it might be where around their neck or
I wish you guys could see what he's doing.
the top of their back.
Right. And you just keep pushing, don't you?
No, not yet. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's more subtle than that.
You'd start tickling them. Sorry.
I will. That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Inappropriate touching on the tube. I will put my hand on the pole just below their neck or next to where their body meets, and then there will be a moment where they will be dislodged from the pole. And at that specific time, I will slide my hand down a few inches. Right. Sometimes you can only do centimetres.
So when they get back to the pole, you're already there.
When they get back to the pole, my hand is there. Now sometimes that can be you can think that's, oh shit, I've lost because now I'm trapped. But what I then do is I manoeuvre my hand into a nice sharp, so my knuckles or what is that, your knuckles? What part of your hand?
That's your knuckles.
I thought that was your knuckles. The other part where your bend.
The middle of your fingers.
Yeah. So that is a really sharp sort of triangular point. And then when they go back on, when they bounce back or whatever they do, it really hurts.
Right.
That's the idea. That
Wow. It's quite sadistic, aren't you?
Suddenly, well, it's the only way. It's a winning formula. Put it that way.
I'll bear that in mind, because you do have poles on the bus in the middle bit where 27 people are trying to put their buggies.
Yeah. I guess some of these are less rules, but more like little survival.
They're annoyances,
guides.
aren't they?
Yeah, and you need these little tools to get you through the journey. As a comedian who used to do secret dancing on the tube.
Really?
Do you know what that is? Like when you're listening to music, and sometimes you're really into it, and you want to either sing or dance. And he used to manoeuvre dance moves into his everyday commute.
No. Who was that?
Oh, what was his name? Mark?
Thomas.
No, it wasn't Mark Thomas.
Watson.
No, it's gone. I can picture him, but I can't place him. But he used to work with Richard Herring, but he used to do secret dancing.
Okay.
So you can do a full-on slut drop sort of down the
Sounds
down the central
sounds alluring.
pole.
Sounds alluring.
If you like. But do you never just you could do like a Saturday Night Fever sort of point, but
yeah, of course, yeah.
without anyone noticing that you're dancing, but you're picking up your bag, but you do it in a very flamboyant
body pop.
way,
Right.
And sort of, yeah. Anyway,
I need to get over my fear of being on the tube and come with you. I think that's what I need to do. Is there anything else that you do for Mayor for the Day?
What's annoying me? So this is more of a list, really. It's not really rules.
This isn't about Mayor for the
list.
Day, is it? It's
a
about
list-
what's pissing you off.
List of what's annoying me. It's like the equivalent of drunk driving, I think. People on their mobile phones walking along, you can tell, like before you even reach them, that they're walking in a weird way, sort of meandering, like snaking from side to side.
Yeah.
And they're not aware of their surroundings. They don't see you coming. They don't know where they're going, and you shouldn't be walking with your mobile, like even on the street. Pull over.
Well, I'm the exception to the rule, I feel, and this is something I will brag about. That for some reason I can multitask actually quite well for a guy, but I can't walk down the road and text at the same time.
No.
I have to stop.
Yeah.
Which is infuriating for other people if it's busy, because I just suddenly stop and start texting.
Well,
but I've spoken on my mobile phone many times walking down the street. But I'm a text stopper.
It depends if it's a sudden stop or if you've gently pulled over to the side.
Definitely not pulled over to the side.
What, you just suddenly
I just stop. Yeah.
No, that's not cool either.
No,
I'm a fast walker, so the
Yeah.
sudden stopper is like the enemy of the fast.
This is where we find out that we kind of grate each other badly.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm a total hypocrite as well, because I do all the things that I'm now complaining about, but when other people do it, it's really annoying.
I couldn't really imagine seeing people pull over. Maybe they could have like a texting lane,
Yeah.
or a mobile phone lane to add to the cycle lane. Oh, I've got one.
Go on.
This is such an annoyance of mine. If I was Mayor for the Day, I would ban people using their bells on their bike unnecessarily. So you get off the bus, and there's a bit of pavement, and like outside here, there's a bus lane, a bicycle lane, and then I'm nowhere near crossing. I'm nowhere near, and you get the little passive aggressive ding ding, ding ding, and down by where I work, there's a big bus stop, and I just stand there. I just hear bing bing, bing bing, bing bing. I can see you coming, mate.
Yeah.
I can see you. That's one of my
I
biggest
think we
bugbears.
talked last week about tone in texts and my arguments online.
Yeah.
And this is one. There's no tone in a bell.
No, I only hear it's get out of the way.
Yeah.
And if I'm being mindful,
Sometimes it's watch it, mate. Just come in.
yeah. Oh, sorry, I don't want to run you over. I see it as
just a heads
get
up.
out of the way. Yeah.
Just a heads up. I'm coming.
Don't want to hurt you. I'm like, I take it as get out of the way, and I'm just like, it drives
No, but
me mad.
sometimes you're right. It is very passive aggressive.
Yeah.
You know.
And I shout out.
Sorry, I thought that was going to work, like a little visual aid. Audio. You know.
Yeah.
Or the other alternative.
Yeah, air horns on bikes. I don't think that's ever going to catch on. But I do this thing that when they ding, 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 and I'm like, yeah, all right, mate. And like I said the other week, I've got a big mouth. Somebody will stop one day and they'll say, what'd you say? And I'll say, nothing, nothing. Don't pick me up.
So just talking about people on mobile phones walking along, did you see that clip with that Japanese, I think it was in Japan, the lady on the mobile phone walking along
through
a busy shopping centre.
Straight in the
fountain.
drink, yeah.
That was brilliant.
That was quality, yeah. I'm a bit suspicious about clips that I see online now.
It looked real though, didn't it?
It did look real, but I kind of think that everything's fake.
What looked fake about that was the fountain was so pronounced.
It was massive as well.
Yeah, it was like a you've been framed moment where it's the accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. If you can, it's in Shanghai. It's in Shanghai. Is that Japan?
I have no idea. Geography's not a strong point.
No, me neither.
I know London, and that's it.
Apologies if we've even got the country out.
Look at these guys. I don't even know where Shanghai is.
But she just goes straight in there, and so, I don't want to make rules and make people stop their behaviour, but stuff like that is just poetic.
You thought she got what she deserved, didn't you?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Perfect. If only there could be a fountain strategically placed. But you do wonder with that clip of the CCTV people, if they just set that up, they're just waiting for that moment. They've been waiting years, and it happened. It's perfect. Look it up. It's Shanghai. I don't know what it's. Shanghai shopping centre.
Girl, phone, fall,
fountain, plunge. Okay. So the song you've been hearing is My Recovery by The Adjustment. It's a brilliant track by a great band that I know from the Southend area, and thanks a lot for letting us use that, guys. Cheers. So Alex, we said we'd talk about Mr. Trump, the most powerful man in our world at the moment, which is quite a frightening thought, really.
Politics is not a subject that I'm
said,
strong.
Alex has said before this started that it's not a subject he really wanted to go into, but I think that's okay.
I keep out of it a lot of the time. Somebody asked me about Brexit last year, and I didn't have as much an opinion at the time as others, and I got quite slated. And I was like, look, I don't necessarily have the news on during the day. I listen to the radio, but I tend to listen to sport radio. It's kind of I get a bit on my high horse about it. Working with the homeless and those in addiction, I think that it's more about, on a day-to-day basis, working with the effects of those decisions and the way it filters down to people literally on the street. Yeah. So it's not that I don't care, far from it. Far from it. It's just that I'm too busy doing my job and things around my life and addiction, some elements selfish, some not, to really get into a massive long debate about it. Yeah. I'd rather be doing, and the work that I've been doing seems to be the result of the effects that it has on people.
Yeah. Another thing about Trump, his hair. What is going on with that? What's your opinion?
I don't know.
I heard a theory that he's had one of these hair transplants, and they're all because it all seems to be facing in the wrong direction, and then sort of combed back on itself. But yeah, you haven't got any theories on his hair?
No, I don't. I don't really like the sight of the man.
But what is going on with it? Why is it doing? Why? Like Wayne Rooney has. This is why I think the hair transplant theory. Wayne Rooney's hair never looks quite right, and he's had one of these transplants in the early stages. Transplants have not reached The technology's not there yet, is it?
If I had the chance, if I had the money, I would have a hair transplant.
Yes.
Because I'm going bald on my crown.
Yes.
And I'm thinning.
Yeah, yeah.
And it bugs me.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinning from the other direction.
Right.
From the front.
So you're receding.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
And
maybe we could put our heads together
Yeah.
and make one good head of hair.
so, well,
one of us could be bald.
Yeah, I mean, some of my friends have taken the mick out of me for it's going that way year on year. Obviously, it only goes in one direction. It's getting worse. It's getting more like Alan Shearer, Match of the Day. In not too many few years' time, I'm going to have an island in the middle.
You will. I can see it coming, but it's okay.
Alex, that's not.
It's okay.
Don't confirm
it's only because you pointed it out.
Yeah.
Well, you want me to lie? You want me to say no, absolutely not. He's lying, dear
I need to
listeners.
say I can see it.
Well, when you're pointing it and you've got your hands in your hair, I can see it. Much like if I point to my crown, you can see it.
Yeah. My problem is when it gets slightly too long, when the wind takes it, it just takes it fully off.
You should get a man bun.
But I can understand. On that level, I can understand Trump. What he's trying to compensate. He's trying to cover up something that's wrong. But
he's going to need a lot more than hair, mate.
But his just looks crazy. I wonder what it'll look like in 4 years' time, or in 8 years' time. Dare
he's still alive.
Yeah, if he's. I don't think he'll make it. One way or another. I'm not sure, but yeah, the worst thing would be if he takes us all with us. And if we have got any American listeners amongst our, maybe 3 out of 5 of them are American.
That'd be nice.
Pretty certain of that.
Yeah, one from Scandinavia and one from England would be good.
Yeah, she's lovely.
There'll be a listener thinking, "Oh my God, he might be me."
You know who you are.
You know who you are. You know who you are.
Take a chance on me.
Well, honestly, we've gone from you thinking you're in one tone to football chants to ABBA.
Yeah, I've completely lost the plot. That's what's happened here. I've gone off piste.
It's good. I like it.
Is a hangover straight from hell.
So, Alex, we have seen a bit of each other this week.
We have.
When we went to another movie.
We did. We went to see Trainspotting 2, or T2 as it's known.
T2 Trainspotting.
And we sat next to each other again. And I did that deliberately.
Is this relevant?
It is. It is kind of relevant because I like to sit at the end of a row because of my anxiety, and I like to be able to get out. But I wanted to sit next to you this time deliberately because I wanted to get the.
You wanted some of my popcorn, which I
No,
didn't buy.
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. What I think would be interesting is maybe not in this film, but in other films, to see your reaction of of like, I don't know, if there was a bit that was poignant. To see if there was a reaction from you, to see if you cried or something. Yeah. So that's why I'm going to make a habit of sitting next to you.
Oh, right. That's what you wanted to do. You wanted to spy.
No, I wanted, because I just thought if we're going to be reviewing a film, I could say, I noticed during T2 that you gasped. Because the lady next to you found the opening couple of scenes.
Oh, yeah. We went with a few friends.
So it was 5 of us.
Our friend on the left, who's probably listening.
Because we got, there was a fire alarm, wasn't there? About 3/4 of the way through. But anyway.
Yeah, we got evacuated from the cinema.
We did,
That's the important thing to know. After about an hour and 20 minutes or something, suddenly the
What was the best bit?
alarm went off.
Wasn't.
And we had to leave the cinema, and then we didn't know whether they were going to let us back in. They did. That's only happened to me one time before.
You got a refund, you said?
When I was in America, and I was watching the sequel to Fish Called Wonder, I think.
Was there one?
Filthy Creatures?
Right, I didn't know that.
I might have to know.
Did it have nobody in it that was in the
It
original?
was John Cleese and It was
Michael
terrible. It was terrible. We got evacuated from the cinema, so I've still to this day never seen the end, and nor did I want to after seeing the first hour.
If there's anyone out there with a DVD,
How does it end?
please send it in to Phil. So Trainspotting, T2.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I love the original. To me, it's a 5-star perfect film. So before this film started, I was getting like goosebumps when it came up on the screen as it does. The title, I was willing it to be good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm probably not quite made my mind up on how I feel about it, which is probably should have if I'm going to talk about it. But we'll get. What was your?
Well, I love the original. My very first girlfriend, we went on our first date to see Trainspotting at the cinema, and it's different back then, like 96, no social media and stuff, so I didn't really know anything about it. Loved it, and this one was all right.
Yeah.
But it was, I thought it was just all right. It's 20 odd years since the original, and I just thought, you could tell. You could tell from my point of view and from the film's point of view. I found it a bit of an unnecessary film.
Yeah.
And
true.
I'm not a massive fan of Ewan McGregor. Johnny Lee Miller, Robert Carlyle, I adore.
Okay.
And he kind of made it for me. So I was kind of more swayed to liking it than I didn't dislike it, but I just came away thinking a little bit. Maybe it's that thing of wanting it to be as good as the original, which they never are, and ultimately disappointed. But there was some fantastic bits in it. I'd love to spoil it for people, but I won't.
Yeah, it had a hell of a lot to live up to, I think, with the original. Talking about light and shade, it's incredible. I always find when I watch Trainspotting years later, after seeing it for the first time, how funny it was.
I've only ever seen it once.
Okay. It's very comedic. There's loads of really laugh out loud funny moments, like with Spud and the crap in the bed, the sex tape and returning that to Blockbusters, and just funny one-liners, bits with Begbie and the chucking the pint glass over the balcony.
That was revisited, wasn't it?
Yeah. There's lots of some of the iconic moments they revisit. Some of it more successfully and less successfully. But I think they had to refer to the original because it's so memorable and so important. But it does remind you just how much they've aged. Well, they're 20 years later. Yeah.
So am I. That's the thing. I thought my relationship with not with drugs but with addiction is very, very different.
Yeah. Okay. What before that film and after that?
Yes. So my relationship with the first is very different from the second, and I was kind of like, it didn't have as much of an effect on me.
So are you saying that addiction happening to you in between seeing the first one?
Yes.
Before seeing this one.
Yeah, so I was shocked when I saw the first one, but wasn't shocked this time around. And I'm older, obviously I'm a lot older, and I just think, okay. I was 19 when I saw the first one, and it's quite groundbreaking. It's a bit of a classic. Well, it is a classic, isn't it?
Well, the first one just came around in 1996 and just blew the British film industry apart and there's so many films, like Guy Ritchie, all his like freeze frame moments and all the things that he did in all these little techniques had never been done before, but now 20 years later they've been done to death.
Yeah.
So it had a massive impact and legacy on other films, and really Danny Boyle directed it. He did the same thing with Shallow Grave. He's a director who's got a really good link with like music, and the soundtrack is very important. Great. And even with the sequel, I thought he has a way of working with sound. Slumdog Millionaire, 28 Days Later, he always has a quite apt soundtrack, and he picks these songs that aren't necessarily massively popular but become popular as a result, or he finds these ones from the past, a bit like Tarantino. He uses music very well.
Born Slippy was revisited, and I was really hoping for a kind of coming quite softly, a soft version. I was hoping it was going to kick in. I think that my opinion of this film is slightly unfair. I think it's on average probably slightly better than the credit that I'm giving it due. I can do that a lot around addiction because what I've experienced has been so acute. I'm one of these people that if I'm having a bad day or I'm not having the best of days and I go and see a film, it can really massively impact my whole experience. And I wasn't having the best of days. that day. I had a lot going on, and it was really nice to go to the cinema. And I think that maybe on another day I would have enjoyed it a bit more.
Yeah. The thing about films, when you're judging them, I think you bring a lot to films.
Yeah, I think so.
And so when someone says, "Oh, it's rubbish," you know, maybe you weren't in the best of moods.
Yeah.
I thought overall, in its own right, as a movie, I thought it was okay. As a sequel to Trainspotting, it's probably not as good, and it almost had an impossible job to
I think so.
live up to that. The thing about the originals, a lot was centred around the heroin and the addiction, and this one maybe less so around. I like how they tied in the story at certain points with Spud. So how Spud's still addicted.
Yeah.
I think I liked when Renton, obviously in the original, Renton runs off with all the money.
Spud's awake.
And he leaves that money in the locker
Yeah.
for Spud, and I thought that was very good that they referred to that, and Spud was like, "Oh, what did you think I would do with that 4K?" And he's actually quite angry with.
Yeah, he said
Renton.
I'm a skaghead.
Yeah, what did you think I'd do? And I thought that was quite a powerful moment, and quite. I like the fact they did that, and it wasn't as black and white as people might have thought. And then obviously you've got Johnny Lee Miller, Sick Boy, who's still a bit of a snake in the grass.
Well, you couldn't really trust anyone in the film, could you?
No.
Anyone.
It was good that all the original cast got back together.
Begbie was great.
What you
For
thought
me,
in this
yeah.
one?
I love Robert Carlyle, and
Yeah.
I just thought he's mental. He's
Yeah.
absolutely mental, and I thought he was the best part of the film. There's some bits at the end with him and Spud that I found quite moving, and I really felt for Spud.
Yeah. We're not going to give anything away.
No, but they all die in the end. don't they?
Yeah, and Begbie, there was some stuff with him and his son. I wasn't really going with that part of the plot too much. There were some parts of the plot, full stop, that I found a bit problematic, and that I think the director and Irving Welsh got together, and I'm not sure they went down the right road. So I think it's based on the porno was the sequel.
It's very different from the book. Very different.
And the reason for that I read was that they based it in the porn industry.
Right.
But that book was written 10 years ago, and now the porn industry has moved on. That it felt passé to base it in the porn industry. So what they've done in this film, they've moved it into like Sick Boys working in brothels. You know, he's filming the client. The main new character in this new film is the Bulgarian girlfriend of Sick Boy called Veronica, and she's the only new character. She plays quite a major role in the movie. Yeah, she's very good. The whole brothel bit, I'm not sure if that was really the way I would have liked to seen that particular character, Sick Boy, go. I would have liked to seen it a bit more based in sort of real life, I think. And maybe that comes back down to the book Porno. Maybe not as good a book or as Trainspotting. That's not. I would have liked it more in the drugs world. Possibly that's where my interest is more. So yeah, just to wrap this Trainspotting review up, they revisited the Choose Life sort of monologue with more up-to-date references, and that was sort of crowbarred in, but I still quite like the way they did that.
Yeah, it wasn't too cliche, I thought.
No, I thought it was quite relevant actually with the modern world and stuff. That was good. And then they did something about, they sort of replaced like Archie Gemmell with a bit of a George Best scene, which I wasn't sure if that worked quite as well. But yeah, overall, would you rate it?
I'd give it a 7.
7 out of 10. Yeah, me too. I was thinking about that. I always go out of 5, so yeah, 3.5, which is 7.
I don't remember feeling this sedated, and I'm one step closer to my recovery.
Hi guys, just to let you know you can get in touch with us on Twitter at Addictive Podcast. That's addictive without an E. Or you can check us out at Addictive Tendencies on Facebook. We're on YouTube and we're also on SoundCloud. And the email is
addictivetendencies@protonmail.com.
That was brilliant.
And hang on. So the reason we use Proton Mail is because it's double encrypted, and so old Theresa May can't listen in on our emails. So, in case that's a concern. I think if anyone wants to write, when I say write, then
If anybody just wants to contact us,
yeah.
if anybody just wants to do anything, please love us. Yeah, you can check us out.
Or if you want to contribute on Mayor for a Day, sort of life rules, London living, have a bit of a rant, or
A rant.
as Alex likes to say.
Yeah, thanks. I noticed that earlier on.
These little digs.
Yeah,
I like
no,
to
I appreciate it. It
shove in there.
didn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
That's the smoking. No, I'm only joking. let's
touchy.
Let's,
It is, well, on that note, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.
seamless.
Yeah, we were going to talk about addiction, and some people might have been waiting for. Some people thinking, "Oh God, here we go." But yeah, so I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I get asked this question a lot. Like people say to me when they hear that I work in addiction, drugs and alcohol, they say, "Oh, that must be a bit depressing or stressful." I don't know what you think about that, but I don't find it depressing or stressful working with addicts.
Oh, I do.
Do you?
Totally, yeah. So back to that vicarious trauma we were talking about, that it's a very painful environment to work in. And you see people, so you talked about needle exchange earlier on, that's something that I do in my job now.
Yeah.
And people come in that are actively using drugs that are, right in the middle of it. And it's very, very sad. There's a lot of hope and, people get into recovery and there's change, but it's a very, very sad environment. I can, even with my journey. So my journey's been a little bit like out of a book or out of a film, because my fall was quite spectacular into addiction, and my recovery has been, I was going to say incredible. It's been quite impressive for somebody that was as in such a bad way that I was, and I put that down to the support that I got and the support that I get, rather than it was impressive on my part. So I had to do my bit, granted, but it's been from the out. People find it quite impressive how far I've come, and I put that down basically to the support and the kind of the love and the help that I've got. So seeing other people, I find it quite sad. Actually, that's a lie. I find it very, very, very sad.
Do you mean sad for them, or sad as in it's quite moving?
Both.
Or upsetting?
Maybe not so much upsetting, but sometimes when I come out of work and we see some of the guys and girls out front going about their daily lives, or see some of them sleeping rough or begging as I come home, I just think, oh, this sucks. This really, really sucks. And it also, seeing people that have done well and then relapsed, there's an element of fear of thinking, okay, that could be, I could be back in those situations.
Yeah. I think it's difficult when you know you're going home at the end of the day, and you walk past people and it's 24 hours a day for them.
Yeah.
I think that is tough, and sometimes gets thrown in your face, though. You can go home at the end of the day. But at the same time, we do have to be quite resilient, I think, to stay in this field. And I think it does vary on what sort of support you get in the workplace. How you leave work is very important, that you're not leaving on a really traumatic note.
Yeah.
And that you have ways of talking to or getting good supervision, or talking to your colleagues and having a bit of a wind down. And a lot of people working in the field, do socialise together, or have those little moments at work when you're just chilling out and relaxing. And I think that's very important in our field.
Are you able to separate the two?
I got better at it. So I worked in a needle exchange setting for a long time. I did that a lot for several years, and but I don't do it in my current job, which I'm quite happy about because I did it for so long. But I still work with the same client group, people with heroin and crack addiction, people who are injecting, people on methadone scripts and other scripts, other prescription drugs, and obviously that's just the medication side of things, but we also work around their sort of psychology and do group work and activities. But I really loved that part of the job. the sort of doing the group work is the bit that I get the most satisfaction out of. And obviously we work together, and I have a lot of fond memories of what we got accomplished in that group, and you're still doing that group. So, and I'm doing something similar where I am now. So, and that still remains, a really rewarding part of the job, to sort of do groups that are working well.
Yeah.
They don't always go well. Like every single session is not a glowing beacon of
not at all.
Success, and you learn, don't you, as a sort of within your practice, and you get better.
But when I come home from work, granted I only work part-time currently, but I go to alcohol support groups in the evening. And so that kind of recovery element, even though the dynamics change and is about me and my recovery, still means that I meet people of an evening that are having difficulties and might need support. And one of the things to do is they say that when you're struggling, to kind of share numbers with people, and if you need to contact people, to reach out. So I come home, and especially recently, there's been a lot of times people have like rung me and that they've been struggling or they've needed help. Like, so that Monday we went to see Trainspotting. I had a friend who was in a really, really bad way. And after the film, I was going to his house and I was dreading it a bit because he was in a really bad way. So I find it difficult to switch off because it's kind of always active. So I'm in a position of privilege where I can I'm sober, and so I can help people to kind of maybe deal with a bad day or a bad situation. But it means that I'm kind of, so this year, so we're a month in, there's been a lot of quite difficult situations for me that are actually more difficult than work. And you forget about the money side, about earning a living. I find it more difficult than work.
So that's like a personal time.
Yeah.
I think people forget about that, don't they? That you go home and your life isn't necessarily rosy outside work.
No.
Or, there's problems or family issues. I think that's something that sometimes the clients don't see you as a human being. That you might have family or relationship stuff going on in you, because everyone does. I think people think you're some sort of robot. A bit like you're doing your shift at McDonald's and then you clocking off.
Yeah.
And
we're there for them.
The two don't overlap, and they very much do. Like, and if you're in a bad mood, it affects the way you're at work. And if you're going through a hard time, or sometimes getting a life-changing things happen during the workplace.
Even good things like moving.
Yeah.
Can be quite unsettling, and then you go to work and this whole thing about leaving things at the door.
Yeah.
When you get into work, and then when you're coming out of work, leaving stuff at work, I find very difficult.
Yeah.
Because if it's quite impacting, somebody's really laid into you.
Yeah.
Or you're having a really, really bad day, or it's difficult. I find it difficult to separate the two, and I think that it's important to have an element of honesty and humanness. So if I'm in a peer support group, I don't want to be there and say, everything's great. I could say, actually, it's quite difficult. Yeah. One of my family members is ill, or discuss something with them without giving them too much detail, to say, actually, this is me, this is real life, and or even something small like I'm really not sleeping very well. Kind of owning that in groups, rather than saying, everything's great. Because I think you need to be like transparent and honest with people.
Yeah, I think we used to do that, didn't we? And I'm sure.
Yeah, we did check-ins and check-outs. Yeah. It's a good opportunity to just kind of own, where you are, and people respect honesty.
Yeah, I remember getting a text message right before a group from my old landlord saying, "I want you out in a month."
Right.
I'm just like, things like that just happen.
Yeah.
Just before, or you might get dumped by your girlfriend, or these things happen like during, and then you have to go and do a therapy group, or go and be helpful for other people, and you're not at your best. And sometimes, you just want a duvet day, or you just want to not. Sometimes it's better not to come in when you're like that when you know you've not got a lot in the tank to give.
You can't say to your boss, I'm going to sit this group out.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could. I'm going to sit this group out because I'm having a bit of a bad day, or I slept really badly. I think it'd be better if somebody else run it, because then it shows like you're not very good at your job, even though you're trying to put the clients first.
Oh, I think you definitely can do that. Yeah, is that what you mean?
Yeah, considering I'm only there 2 days, and I volunteer on another day, and I do 4 sessions over those days.
Yeah.
That a lot of my and needle exchange, a lot of my time is taken up in sessions.
Yeah.
So for me to kind of pull out of one of them would be quite a big deal.
Yeah.
If something really, really bad happened, and I said, look, I don't want to take the group, but I just think that it wouldn't look great.
I think it depends whether you were actually in that right headspace to do it. I think you'd be entitled to say, I'd rather do some paperwork today, and I'm not really up for client-facing work.
Would you not sit in the group and say to people, actually, I'm not having the best of times?
Yeah, or the alternative is that one, just fronting it up and just saying this is what's happened, and this is, Sometimes you have someone having a go at you, if you know what I mean. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm not typecasting, stereotyping clients as people who always have a go at you, but sometimes they really want to lay into you or have a go at you or make assumptions about you. Yeah. And then I would sometimes throw it in. It's like, listen, this is just what's happened to me. So if you want to carry on having a go at me, then just so you know, I give less of a fuck right now.
Yeah.
than I normally do.
Right. So usually you give.
I just chuck a truth bomb in there. Right. Sort of. Oh, that's not. I just throw. Sometimes it's handy to use the truth or to humanise the situation.
You're at risk. You're at risk of people. There's that again. So you're at risk of people playing on that.
No, but I think you do it strategically or whatever, or not even strategically, just honestly. Like sometimes it's that about being congruent, so about being true to your feelings. Yeah. And listen, you're making me feel like this right now. Right. I think what I'm getting at is I like transparency. So I like to lay all the cards on the tables. It's not always wise if there's something that you really shouldn't want to say but shouldn't say. I don't. If it's something that's going to hurt someone's feelings, but if someone's being a bit arsey unnecessarily, sometimes I find that quite a good diffusing tactic, you might say, or just being honest and upfront. Listen, you can have a go at me, but listen, I'm just about to be made homeless myself, so you're judging me because people judge you, and but yeah, I think these are extreme examples maybe, but I forget how we got onto this topic now. Where
we were talking about how whether we find working in the sector and addiction difficult. It's really, this training has kind of made me think much more about the impact of people's issues on us, and also vice versa. Yeah. So if you go into a group and you're just about to be made homeless and you're stressed out, whether that's going to massively affect, whether that's that energy or that's going to kind of transfer onto other people.
Yeah, it does, and you're not always going to give the best advice in the needle exchange or wherever it is in a counselling room if you've got that big thing hanging over you. So it's just having an awareness of your own mentality, I think, and emotional well-being and where you need to be at that moment. So I do think if you've got the right support and the right boss, they would be okay with you taking a time out and using that sort of thing.
It'd be fun if my boss heard this and then said to me, hey Alex, if you ever needed to not do a group, I'd be like, hey, that's amazing. Yeah, I heard the podcast. Yeah.
But I'm aware that both of us turned up at groups some days and we hadn't slept.
I know that you really struggled with your sleep. Yeah, it was different for me because I was volunteering at the time, so I could kind of get up a little bit later, and I didn't, being sober now and doing a 5-day week does actually kind of scare me a little bit. Having that large amount of work stuff to deal with. So at the moment I do 2 and a bit days. So my switch off time is marginally more. Significantly more. I think, doing 5 days, I'll just be like, I'll get to Wednesday or Thursday and just think, this is too much.
Yeah.
Excuse me, pulling on the microphone. This is just too much. So it's kind of getting back into that environment gradually.
Yeah. But I think you do learn ways of coping, and it often sounds callous or cold or unemotional when you explain to people, listen, I don't ever go too far emotionally with clients. I keep a healthy separation, a healthy distance, and you have to have worked in this field for as long as I have, and otherwise, like you're saying about trauma, if you took on all the trauma, all the things I've heard over all those years,
get out of bed.
then you wouldn't get up again and keep coming in and doing that job. So to be empathetic, you have to refill your tank emotionally, I think. And
how do you do that?
well, there was a key moment for me, like when I wasn't coping, when I was working in East London, and it was really hard, and we were meeting some people, and traumatic stuff was happening pretty much on a daily basis. Sometimes everyone came in, had a story that was heartbreaking or just really difficult. They were struggling mentally, and one girl was on death's door and just wouldn't get the help. She was too far gone, and it was, really, I was taking it home with me. It was very sad to leave because you cared about these people. And there was this one time where somebody died of an overdose, which has happened several times. It's happened more often over the last few years. And this person died, and our team got together at the end of the day, and this will sound extremely callous, but we started joking and laughing with each other.
I get it.
And I think people in mental health sector and in addiction develop a bit of a dark sense of humour. You might, if you took it out of context, you might think people are being really I don't know what the word is, empathetic. But something clicked with me that day that these moments are key and essential. So us all laugh. At first I thought it was totally inappropriate because my colleague, who'd been in addiction 10 years and had been in recovery for another 10 years, and another colleague had also been through it, they started the jokes coming. And next thing I know, I've gone from hearing this really traumatic, terrible news, tragic news. We were just in stitches laughing. And at first I felt totally, oh my God, this is really wrong. But then it made total sense that if we didn't do that, we'd be in an absolute state.
Just releasing, you're letting off steam.
Yeah.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, like, years later, with so many more deaths happening, that it's just, you hear about it, and if you let it upset you too much, or if you take it home with you, you need to cut it off at 5 o'clock or whenever. It's not always possible, but it has to be done. But it's tough. But I think things like that are the difference between surviving and being all right and coping with this job. And the things that get me down about it are actually nothing to do with the clients.
It's actually your own stuff?
No, it's about politics and
funding. Okay. The injustice of things?
No, and not just that, just colleagues. Things that wind me up are like all those things like paperwork or somebody being a bit passive aggressive at work, and you know those people, sort of job's worth type people.
Those are the people that ring their bell.
Yeah, have you done this? Have you filled in form X, Y, Z? You know, imagine you've had a day when it's just been crazy thing after crazy thing, and then you go, have you done your bloody blah? And it's just, you have to do all that as well, and it's tough. And those are the things in our situation of funding cuts and stuff, when you're working longer than you should be, that's when it's stressful.
I take it though over how I used to live. You know, so getting up and going to work and being part of the system is something that I kind of find quite thrilling now, because the alternative of kind of homelessness and sleeping in the park and just walking around like a mess, you know, like a real mess. I actually quite like being
on the other end.
Yeah, just doing it.
Yeah. it must be very satisfying. And I'm working with a few people who've been through it, and when they're on that other side of the fence, they really see where they've been and how far they've come. So and just to give credit to you, you're one of the better workers, one of the best workers, and it is from where you've come from that plays a part, but also you're coping with it massively well.
It's very kind of you to say so. I'm very lucky that and I think that can make the difference sometimes. That the support that you get is the difference between sorting yourself out and not sorting yourself out. So my family stuck by me, and the treatment centre that I end up coming to, I've received a lot of support, and had I not had that, I dread to think where I'd be. So, like I said earlier, and I feel very strongly about this, that my recovery has been impressive, but it's been impressive mainly because of other people. And I don't say that to show false humility or think what a great guy. That's just the fact of it, because I've worked with so many people that don't have what I've had, and I can see where they've really, really struggled. And that's not to say that everybody that gets lots of help will always work out fine, and people that maybe are on their own and don't have family and friends. But I can only speak from my experience that a lot of it, like 99% of it is down to what was kind of given to me. And now that I'm in a position to work with other addicts, especially other alcoholics, is a source of tremendous. I don't know what the right word is. I'm very blessed to be able to do that. But it's a source of immense frustration, because there's people that look, when I was drinking, like I was on like 2 bottles of vodka a day. People were telling me what I needed to do. I just wouldn't listen. And now I work with people that are in a similar situation to where I was, and with my sober head, I just think I don't understand why they get it. So I really struggle to remember where I was sometimes, because I'm so far removed from it. Even though that I'm, there's a phrase, you're closer to your next drink than you are further away from your last, which is true, but I'm so removed from that situation that I had in those 3 or 4 years, and it was so bad that, the honest thing is, Phil, that sometimes I work with people and it's almost like I've forgotten everything of what it was like, because I'm like, I've told him what he needs to do. I told her what she needs to do. If they just did this, they'd be all right. But they're not at that stage of being able to, for whatever reason.
Yeah. I've seen some ex-users working in the field be very harsh with the clients, like too harsh, and just thinking, well, I did it this way, so why can't you just do it? And I think having empathy, or because I experience stress and down days, and trying to empathise on whatever level you can is important. And I would often share in groups how, if I was feeling low or whatever, and why, and hope that people relate, or sometimes just to make people laugh, just tell people a story about sometimes about these first world problems that you're sort of having difficulties with, like on the tube, or stuff that makes you mad, but it's quite funny, or
it's quite relatable as well.
Yeah.
So it's I work in this environment, but I'm very fortunate that I do film club and I do music group and stuff, and we do things that aren't always about addiction or homelessness. And I like to know what people, both where I work and in life, I like to know what people are good at. I like to ask people, what do you like? What do you love? What do you want to do? That's one of my questions at peer support. What is it that you want to do in your life? Let's talk about that. Let's not talk about how much you've had to drink, or how much drugs you've had in the last however long, every single time. I like to talk, what is it you want to do? We're talking about getting sober or reducing. What are you getting sober for? So I like that kind of, like being human and the personality, Tell me about your family, tell me about your friends, tell me something that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, there's often you open up an avenue that you can then travel down together, sort of thing. Because, or those little moments of recovery when you notice a bit of a spark in a person, you suddenly you're like, oh, I get it. I see that, the human side of them rather than the addiction taking over, or just what makes them laugh. Or I often find we have a very similar sense of humour, some of the people that come in.
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes just having a laugh together is a really important thing. I sense anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Treating people with respect, and that's, you know, wherever you are. You know, we were ranting earlier on about what we hate about London, but the truth of it is, I think it's really important to kind of, that being kind is probably my biggest thing in life. That it's
Yeah.
you know, like my girlfriend says to me that she thinks I'm really, really kind, and I don't think it's a skill. I think it's a choice, and it's, you know, I don't think it's because I'm such a wonderful guy, but I think actually, isn't it nicer to be kinder? So I choose to do that. And when I see people not being kind, I don't think it's because you're an arsehole. I think actually you're a bit damaged, and you can so easily choose to be kind.
Yeah.
And being kind to people inside and outside of work is the end of what I have to say for today.
But the same with those little things that annoy you. I think I really struggle with gratitude, being grateful.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm trying to do more and more. So even though I notice all these things that wind me up, and there's a lot of them, I can notice when I'm not being grateful, and those little things are winding me up too much, and I'm just becoming a bit of a, hang on, look at around you. You know what? You know, is life really that bad? It's just, you're just getting wound up. Maybe you're hungry, or you need
hungry, angry, lonely, tired. They say that those are the 4 things.
Yeah.
And gratitude goes right out the window.
Yeah.
And they also say that a lack of gratitude or like self-pity is the number 1 reason why people relapse. So as part of my treatment, I've been encouraged to keep like a gratitude list or focus on gratitude, because you can't be in both camps at the same time. You can't be grateful for something and at exactly the same time be so pissed off about something. So, but I really struggle with gratitude. But that's a whole other different
Definitely.
story.
I mean, I think it's key. But I literally this morning, I didn't want to get up and come over here and join you in some ways, because I was just like, I'm feeling a bit unwell, under the weather, and feeling a bit physically. Yeah, it all affects you, and the way you see the day and how you deal with that. So, but I still thought, you know, come over here and do it, and
Make our 5-6 listeners, give them something to chew on. Well, maybe by the time
it's gone up to 8. I've just heard.
Okay. Well, by the time this gets out, it might be 10.
But then we might have lost someone. So
Yeah, exactly.
Down.
Somebody might have thought that we've kind of gone up our own arses in the second podcast. Yeah. We've taken on a whole new direction.
Our eye off the ball.
We have, yeah.
Some people liked it slow, and we've gone too quick.
Yeah.
I don't
think we've gone that quick. I think we've been exactly the same as last time. But it's I suppose it's honest. I think that's important.
Yeah.
20 minutes on the website for spiritual health. I don't remember feeling this sedated, and I'm one step closer to my recovery.
So just to say, that track is My Recovery by The Adjustment. Many thanks to Lance and the gang for letting us use that. It's a favourite song of mine.
Okay, so that about wraps it up for podcast 2. Thanks for listening, guys.
It was a difficult second podcast, wasn't it?
It was difficult,
But it's over.
I enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Phil, thanks for coming over. I know you're not very well.
Yeah,
Hope you feel better soon. Have a good weekend.
I feel better for having come, Alex. And,
You feel refreshed. It's a cathartic experience.
It's been emotional.
It has been emotional.
As you can tell by my voice.
Yes, emotional voice.
So do contact us at addictivetendencies@protonmail.com.
Much better.
And please, if you've got any suggestions for how to use...
That would be awesome. So thanks for listening, guys, and thanks for everyone that supported us so far. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.
See you soon.
Boo!